welcome back. Today we are having another moon update. We're having a new moon today in the sign of Gemini. So I love this energy, what it represents for me anyway. This Gemini energy is always representative of nuance for me. A reminder that not everything is black and white. That certain statements and ideas can be true under certain circumstances and completely untrue or inappropriate in others. To take into consideration context, nuance. In another reading I did for Gemini, I gave the example of the Bhagavad Gita, how Arjun was having like a really hard time with the war, with fighting in the war because he had to fight with family members and people that were highly regarded, his teachers that he respected, and he was just like, I'm not gonna like fight them and like fight to kill, go against them in a war. This can't be right. Like it just didn't sit right with him. But that was his dharma. That's what he was being called to do. So in that case, going to war was the appropriate thing. It was the correct thing. God himself, Krishna led him there, led him to the understanding of like why it was the right and proper thing to do in that moment, in that time, despite the difficult feelings he was feeling around it. I personally think it's because, the 100 brothers, like the cousins that they were fighting against, I think it's because like they played dirty, or at least like their leader was played dirty. So they couldn't come to some kind of like agreement that was amicable and respected everyone. So even though he had such a good heart and he didn't want to fight, at the end of the day, he was a warrior, and that's what it came down to. So he had to put everything aside and just meet his dharma, like rise up to it, knowing that battle and fighting and war, in the case of the story, but knowing that in those circumstances, like under those circumstances, this wasn't evil, this wasn't wrong, this wasn't unjust, So if we look at it like in black and white, it could be perceived like that, like, no, it's killing is wrong. And again, this is just this story, not like in real life. I don't think killing is ever right in real life, but like in the events of the Gita, that's what was correct, So it's like you can't be so black and white and like, but war is bad. But under these circumstances, it's good. And that's what Gemini energy represents for me. It's that nuance, that understanding that like both things can be true. Like even if they oppose each other under certain circumstances, we can still accept that both things can be true, depending on the context of the situation. That Gemini energy, it invites you to be curious. And if, you're confused about something, like ask questions. It's like thinking you know everything about a person, by like one opinion that they have or like one stance that they take. Thinking you can just categorize people like that, like people were multifaceted, we're multidimensional, we're not that like simple. Maybe some people out there are two-dimensional, very simple people, but I'd like to think that the majority of us, the best of us, we're multifaceted. But yeah, that pretty much sums up like the Gemini energy for me, like what it means for me personally. Astrologically, if you want to know what's going on astrologically, definitely listen to an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer. I read the tarot. I ask spirit to just give me messages regarding what they think would be useful for us to know at this time during this moon cycle, this moon phase, so that we can sit with, reflect on, or just like, so it can come up to the forefront of our awareness as something that maybe we're gonna have to like deal with or make a decision on. So just messages that are meant to like uplift us, support us as we navigate, this thing called life. So yes, I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the spread. I'm gonna start with the oracle cards. So let's see, for this new moon in Gemini, for those of us that are here, what would Spirit like to communicate to us? What do they think that we need to know? Messages about what we need to know at this time. Okay. You guys can take a second to like breathe, take deep in and out breaths, just center your energy so that you can become receptive to the messages that are meant for you here today. Okay. These are interesting cards so far coming out. And now I'm gonna pull some tarot just to have the full spread out. Two more cards, almost there. Ooh, loving that bottom of the deck energy. All right, let me just organize this Okay, so first of all, what I'm seeing is this seems to be like a highly charged energy. There's a lot of indication about speaking, about sharing your wisdom, sharing something you know, something you've experienced. So you know it very well because it's like from your own experience, you know? It's probably something difficult that you had to go through. I feel like it was something that you didn't have a lot of experience with. It was something that existed in your shadow. And so you stumbled and fell, you know, probably multiple times until finally, you know, you learned everything there was to learn about it and you overcame it. You were victorious above it. And so when it comes to like those difficult situations that we've had to go through, where we've had to like come face to face with our own limitations, with our own shortcomings, you know, with our shadow side, with things that we weren't aware of, or ways that we were handling situations that were harmful, and we get put through that fire, you know, we get put through those trials and tribulations. It definitely gives us wisdom to share with other people, you know, going through a similar path, a similar journey. So you can help shed light for others, guide others going through like a similar trajectory. So yeah, it's like now is the time to share your gift. It's like something has come into like completion for you. Like something has been completed, like a lesson or something that you've learned has been completed to the point that you can like teach about it, talk about it. You have wisdom to share. You know what they say, like your wounds, your greatest wounds, it has the potential of becoming your greatest gift because you learned how to overcome like whatever blockage was there in your way. You had to learn to rise above it, you know, to overcome it. So I just think you have like an intimate understanding and like awareness and knowingness about something, you know, that you're feeling like passionate about, and you feel like you want to share. It could be regarding intimacy, so it could be regarding relationships to others, or it could also be regarding equality, how to not be afraid to like take up space and to demand equality, you know, to be treated just and fair, to make sure you're being considered, respected. Or again, it can also be something like about intimacy, so relationship to others, and maybe how to do that in a healthy way, how to be in relationships that are equal and fair and considerate, how to be maybe like in strong relationships, like how to attract strong relationships, or like only have the tolerance to engage in strong relationships where both people are full and complete within themselves, self contained, you know, and therefore you're able to share intimacy, healthy, true, divine intimacy. It could also be like about, you know, trying to overcome like the social norms that we've been taught, like the woman belongs in the kitchen, or the woman just is there just to cook and to clean and to have babies. Men are only providers. Like it could be something like undoing those stereotypes and being able to perceive people as people with hearts, you know, not as a utility, not as something to be exploited and used. But with this Gemini energy, I'm finding this oracle card very interesting, the Watch Your Words card, because, you know, it's kind of saying like you have a lot of wisdom to share regarding something that, again, like you feel like you've grasped, like you feel like you know it inside and out because you've lived through it. You've had to like work against it, like you've had to like overcome it. You know, there was pressure in your life for you to be able to push past certain limitations, and you learned a lot. And now you want to share, which is amazing. That's like the goal, is whatever you learn, however you elevate yourself, you want to help others do the same, you know? And so I feel like you really want to do that, but it's saying to watch your words, because a lot of people can twist your words. If they're not ready to receive what you have to say, they can like misinterpret you. They can misunderstand what you're saying, you know? So maybe it's like watch your words, but also like watch who you're talking to. Like make sure you're talking to people that are receptive and are ready to hear certain things. Because if someone's not ready to hear something, it's like gonna be more damaging than good. When we're speaking, we do have a responsibility to try to be as clear as possible, to convey the message concisely, you know, a way that's understandable. But also the listener has a responsibility too, to like listen effectively and to be able to understand what's being said. So it's a two-way street there, you know? So you want to make sure that your audience is ready, because if they're not, they can like misconstrue what you're saying, or I don't know, like take your words out of context maybe, you know, with this Gemini energy. But also, for sure, watch your words, watch how you say it, be mindful with how you convey the message, with how you communicate it. Try your best to make it like very hard to misconstrue. It's like, no, like I shined a light on this so bright, like there is no way you're gonna try to sneak your way, around this. Even though people are always gonna find ways, right, to misconstrue a message, but just do your part, try your best to make it as like clear and concise as possible. Where it's like all the truth is illuminated, you're being very clear. So someone doesn't have that opportunity to try to like twist it, because that's what our egos want to do. Like, again, if you're talking to someone that isn't ready, like their ego will try to like twist it or misconstrue it. They'll misunderstand. Some people are just like dead set on misunderstanding, So yeah, like shine a light so big, watch your words, be mindful that it just becomes hard, like harder for those people to try to skate by, like try to sneak their way to misconstrue your message. Okay, so getting to the tarot, let me see. That so far was messages I was pulling from the oracle cards. So from the tarot, I do see like a stuck energy here. It looks like an energy that is very unsure. It's like an energy that looks to be like unmoving and unsure. I'm sorry if you can hear all the landscaping out there. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. Sometimes the background noise is like loud for me in the moment, and then when I go back and edit the video, you can hardly hear it. So I'm hoping that's the case today. But yeah, there's like an uncertainty. It's like, I think this is what I want to do. I think this is, what I have to offer or what I have to say. But it's an energy that's not for certain, that it's not for sure. It doesn't feel confident, and that's what you need. Like that's what's needed, is a certain level of confidence and boldness, and like, there can't be a fear of like visibility and being seen and heard and being like center of attention and pulling attention to yourself. And again, like being very visible, being very outspoken, very out there, sharing your voice, sharing what's in your heart. It's like you can't be timid. You can't get up there and be like super uncertain, because then people are going to be like, that person they're not even sure of what they're talking about. They themselves aren't even sure of what they're saying. Like, why should I trust them? So it's like you have to practice getting up there and speaking with confidence and conviction and being very truthful. It's like, look, this is how it happened for me. This was my experience. That's all I can do. All I can do is speak upon my experience, my lens. Is this going to happen exactly this way for you? Is this going to apply to everyone in the exact same way? Probably not, But everyone sharing their experience, it's helpful. It's ultimately helpful because other people can take bits and pieces that they need for their journey. Or maybe someone's journey is kind of like very, very similar to yours. And so it's helpful. So it's being transparent, and kind of like, I'm not the end all be all. I'm not saying that this is exactly the way it's going to go for you, but this is what happened with me. This is what I found. These were my, discoveries. This is what worked for me. This is what I learned. This is how I did it, And if you're a good listener and you're receptive, you're going to take what you need to take. There needs to be a certain kind of like receptivity to know like, oh, okay, well that doesn't apply to me because my situation is different in this way, but that right there, yeah, that's gold. Like I could definitely work off of that. So it's like people also need to learn how to be good listeners and be able to take what they need to take. I think that's just something that blocks you, is like, you're like, oh my gosh, but like, am I gonna explain it good enough? And I have that issue too sometimes. I used to it like in the past, not so much anymore. I still have it a little bit, but oh my gosh, like when I first started reading tarot, I was like, I have to like say this perfectly. Like it would take me hours to like do one reading because I'd want to find the perfect words. I'm like, no, like I said this, but like I meant this, and oh, but they can take it this way, and that's not what I meant, because if this is the case, then that would be, it was just like, at the end of the day, words are words, and like they're not gonna always be, like the most accurate. Words themselves, have different meanings for different people. So communicating with words in and of itself can be limiting. So if that's your fear, if your fear is like, yeah, but like, what if I can't explain it right? I think that's the message for you, is knowing that people also have to like listen right. Like there's a responsibility to the listener as well. And if you're just transparent from the jump and you let them know, like I can only speak from my experience. This doesn't mean that this is exactly your experience, but I hope that you can get something useful out of this that can help you on your own unique journey. Because I think that's like what keeps you kind of like uncertain or timid or like unsure. Like there's just this feeling of like, it's almost like being flaky, but it's just kind of like a feeling of I'm on the fence and like I'm not fully like grounded in my convictions or like fully expressing it super strong. And that's what they want you to work on. They want you to work on expressing this super strongly, to be in your power, to know that this is something I went through. This is something I experienced. This is something I overcame. This is something I learned a lot about. This is something I've had to become like a master at, that I had to become good at. I had to cultivate these skills, you know? I had to do it from scratch. It's like I had to do it from scratch. So it's like you can teach people like what you did, like what happened to you, how you handled it, how you faced it, how you worked with it, how you overcame, what you did, what your process was, what worked, what didn't, what, were the things on your path that made you stumble and fall, like little traps, little blocks that people might come across, and what you learned. It's like you're ready. Spirit is like, you are ready for this. You are ready to share, to teach, to speak, okay? But again, it's like you just have to be aware of certain things. Like, yes, do your part and try your best to speak as clearly and concisely as possible, but also understand, like, if someone's dead set on misunderstanding you, they just might. And they also have a responsibility as a listener to listen correctly and to listen accurately and to not take every little thing super, super literal. Like, that's what we were also talking about, right? Like nuance, to be able to like put context where it goes and to like make sense out of it themselves too. Like, put it into the context of their own situation. The listener has that responsibility. And I think that's the biggest message that Spirit is trying to make you aware of here. Because maybe knowing that is going to like help you to feel more confident, to like get out there and like say what you need to say and do your part, because they're saying you're ready. And I see someone very strong here. It's just someone that is materially like coming off very like uncertain, like I said, like shaky, like your voice is shaky and you're not talking loud enough and you're like but internally you have it. You have the stuff. You're ready. You're wise. You know your stuff. This is something you're passionate about. There's something here that you have to give, that you have to offer, that you've mastered. So yeah, I love this. I love this message. Let me know, like, what is it? I'm so curious. Like, what do you guys have to say? Like, what did you overcome? What are your gifts? I'm here. I'm listening. I want to know. This is really exciting stuff. You have a really strong energy within, and now it's just like a matter of you being able to push that outward, like push that to the external, to be confident in your bright light and know that your bright light is going to nourish a lot of people, the people that are ready to receive it. So work on it, practice. You got this, okay? That was today's message for this new moon in Gemini. I'm super excited to revisit this energy in about 6 months' time when we get that full moon in Gemini. So yes, thank you so much for being here with me today, for sharing your time and your energy. If you're interested in a personal reading, I do provide my email in the description box below so that you can contact me. If you're interested, I'd love to work with you. Take good care of yourselves, and until next time, bye.